Welcome to this session on about IITM Pravartak, the sponsor session. A little bit of interesting stuff. It's not very technical, but we are going to tell you why we became technical. Okay, so that's very important because you saw the presentations. We are working deep into the core of databases, especially Postgres, and we are also trying to implement new ideas within Postgres. And if you look at all these things, it is aimed towards performance. And we'll tell you why we are doing that. So before that, a very brief introduction about ourselves. We are formed under the National Mission of Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems by the Prime Minister. We are directly under the status is being directly monitored by the Prime Minister's office. It is given to give a push to deep tech in India because India has mostly been users of technology and not been creators of technology. So the government wants to make a difference here. So what they did was they have established 25 technology innovation hubs in higher educational institutes, and these hubs have to function like startups. In the sense, if they bring in technology and make money out of it, they survive, otherwise they are closed. So this is a kind of a new mission in India which was not seen before. We are one of the experiments. The government 50% cleared, passed the experiment, 50% failed. We are one of those reasons why they 50% they passed the experiments, and we are standing here because of that. We are actually a not-for-profit company. It doesn't mean that we don't make profits. Whatever profits we make, we actually reinvest into technology. So 85% of the profits that we generate, we reinvest into technology. How do we reinvest into technology? We actually, who it happens. Okay, so how do we reinvest into technology? We do these 4 activities. One is technology development, the second is entrepreneurship development, the third is human resource development, and fourth is international collaboration. A little bit of technology development. What we are doing under the current database Postgres is under technology development. Okay, so why do we get into technology development? Okay, there are numerous use cases that India has. I do not know. We are the land of use cases, and if anyone wants to have a problem, India has a lot of problems. Okay, and when you try to solve the problem using technology, you will end up with a lot of issues. Today we are on a discussion with one of the the topmost strategic agency where we have lots of data. You can't imagine the kind of data we are all talking. The government's implementation of Aadhaar is one example. During COVID, the number of transactions we processed ran into, I think, the whole transaction for about 80 days, which we processed to bring COVID down to a particular level. I don't know how many of you know the story. India had targeted vaccination scheme, and that's why we were able to control COVID. And that targeted vaccination scheme came because when we collected the data and did a lot of processing at the back end, we were dealing with about 5 to 6 million transactions per day. Okay, that's the kind of transactions we dealt with during the COVID days. It was basically a product where it was used at the back end to find out what are all the COVID hotspots and where vaccinations have to be done immediately. Okay, it is called Itihas. If you go and check into the net, you will find that it's not very popularized because when you do a great job, no one bothers about it. Other kind of transactions, digital transactions, it's one of IRCTC. These are massive transactions which no other country has, and we still do not understand what we are doing. Okay, so that is, you should look at it from that point of view. So we have a lot of technical challenges, and these technical challenges is what we are trying to solve, not just in the area of database. We are working in the area of control systems, hyperloops. Okay, and finally, one of the problems, the root cause of the problem, one, you either land up with insufficient computation or inefficient computation. The second problem you land up with is don't have the technology within India to solve the problem. Okay, the example of the first one is, are we efficient enough to do database operations? You see that we are not, looking at the lectures today. The second, are we there at hardware? We are not. So we fix the hardware problem with technology development by getting the first microprocessor for India. It's called Shakti, which is being used in nuclear reactors and of course ISRO. And we are not aware. Okay. So the power of having indigenous technology is that tomorrow the Postgres can actually be made to work on our processor, okay, which is going to give the fastest speed, whatever performance optimization you do at the top, okay. Once you have to touch the hardware, there is no other choice. Another example is AI. Okay, we have worked a lot with Supreme Court, we have worked a lot with Sunset TV, and we found out that the bottleneck was database, and below that it was again the processor. Okay, so this is where our technology development comes into picture. So we have our first startup, which is MindGrow. Now it has got Series A funding. Now they have got customers in the automotive space today, so they are on their way. There's a company called Eon Space, where we make the smallest optical lenses. With from 500 kilometer range, you can track up to 5 meter on the ground. Okay, and the size of this is this, and weight is nothing. So you can carry it in drones or low Earth orbit satellites. So we actually fund those kind of companies using our entrepreneurship program. Okay, we give a seed fund. So if you are interested in starting a startup, please join us. We will be able to fund you also. Okay, the third one is human resource development. You should have seen that we are advertising a course on database. It's a deep tech core course. Okay, we are not looking at just configuring some parameters of database. We are looking at how to go into core Postgres and contribute back to the society. And many of these we are contributing it back to the society. For example, Shakti microprocessor, the hardware architecture of the microprocessor along with the source code is in open source. So if you want to make a processor, just take the source code, do all those activities, and then give it to your fab. They will give you the chip. Okay, so that kind of activity we are planning to bring into database also. You'll slowly start seeing our contribution to Postgres down the line. Okay, we are going to start, but because using public money, you have to give back to the society, and that's the way we do it with open source. The last one is international collaboration. We are also working with countries like Nepal. I think there was one of the organizers told me that there's a PG Nepal, Postgres Nepal conference, and he's asked whether your team will come. I don't know if my team asked, they will come. Okay, but we already have a tie-up with some of universities in Nepal for this. So how do we do entrepreneurship development? We actually fund many of the places. Okay, if you know of your friends who are working in college, you have a great idea, or you want to become an entrepreneur, just apply to us. We have the first scheme called Entrepreneur in Residence, whereby they can come to us. We actually pay them a salary, just like any services company pays, and then we also give them some extra 3 lakhs for making prototypes. We give a space in our place. We also provide a guide who can guide them through the whole process. That is known as the Entrepreneur in Residence. It's for 1 year, and if you get up with a good proof of concept, we take you to something known as Prayas, which gives you 50 lakhs, and also you could work with us, and you work on a patent with us, and then we give you another 50 lakhs. This is where you form a company. You give us about 5% equity to us. 1% goes to the incubation cell, but totally you can see you get about 1 crore in this whole process, and I think that is good enough to start a startup today. Okay, and then we have something known as dial-up accelerator, where if you put in some X money, we'll help you take you to the market. We'll also put some more money and take you to the market. The whole process, equity also, we take very less equity because it's just seed funding. And after this, we also introduce you to VCs. Not only that, if you have work, we also introduce the work from other organizations. For example, we take some projects and execute it, and you could also be part of it. These are the companies. The Tutor Hyperloop is one. Tutor Hyperloop is going to work with railways. We have a 450 meter track in IIT Madras, where we demonstrate this technology of levitation, vacuum travel. Okay, this is one of Elon Musk idea. Musk dropped it. We continued it, and we are going to be successful. Musk was not successful. Okay, the railways is planning to give us land between 2 highways, Chennai to Bangalore, most probably. Okay, the new expressway that is being constructed, the center portion of it is likely to be given to us to get the Hyperloop going. So when you are whizzing past Chennai to Madurai, you'll see Hyperloop also traveling. So this is going to be planned, and you will see that happening quite shortly. Okay, the other company is MindGrow. the first company. This is where they have made this India's first microprocessor. They got it fabricated in TSMC, and they are on the way. The second company called SecureWeave, they are they have something known as a kernel protector. This is second in the world. Okay, there is a first company called Linksworks that belongs to Israel, and this is the second company. SecureWeave is the second company which we funded, and they have this something known as kernel rootkit detector. Today we are talking about operating systems. This whole operating system can be hijacked. Okay, and we have a protection mechanism for that, which is secure hypervisor and trusted computing. There's a very, very interesting startup known as Music Temple. You all know about speech to text translation. This company translates Indian music, Arabic music, both Hindustani and Carnatic, into text. Okay, and the idea behind this is that there are a lot of folk songs which are getting lost. If you could just translate these folk songs into this kind of text and then preserve it for eternity, because this can even be, you can just read it and sing, rather than just like notes in the English music. See, the notes in English music have stepwise, whereas Indian music doesn't have stepwise. It has some, what we call it as patterns or gamakas. Okay, so so every company here is somewhat unique. Some companies have failed, definitely. Some have created, but those companies that we have created, we have a valuation today of about 1,200 crores. We are just 3.5 years old. So that is the power of technology. Okay, and not just configuring files. You just have to get into technology. Okay, that's where the value is all about. So each one of this is a different company. You can go to our website. These are all the new projects that we are working on. We are working right from 12,000 BC to future hyperloops. These are some of the products. So this Gamakabas Technologies is what I told you about Indian music. This chess is what I talked about, the kernel protector. Okay, there are other, so this high speed mobility of pod propelled by magnetic levitation vacuum tube is the hyperloop. Okay, and so comprehensive motion and energy tracking system. One of the projects that we are working on is, you have these fiber cables, right? Just, thousands of fiber cables, optical connections and all that. If you just lay these fiber cables next to a railway track, we'll be able to tell you whether the train is running, whether the railway track is good or not. We can sense vibration, we can sense stress, and we have a technology to do it. You don't need anything extra. You just run a cable next to the railway track and I can tell you how the railway track is going to be. So the railways are looking at this technology also. You don't need anything else more. So we do these kind of very groundbreaking technologies. We don't advertise. Okay, so these are other projects where one of the famous cricket player, his company is working with us on dial. He just retired from international cricket. Okay, so he's working with us on human motion capture platform. So the idea is that there are he's from Tamil Nadu. I have given you enough clues. So Ashwin. So now the idea is that you have these kind of sports equipments in Australia. You don't have it in India, and so the idea is, how can we get this enhanced? And one of our trial person was Usha, the PT Usha, and she has tested our device. And okay, so this is a lot of other things. Optical fiber based underground vibration detecting system. So the idea here is that you have thousands of fiber cables. Every day your corporation digs a thing. No, they only lay fiber cable. But the idea is, on top of it, if a human being walks, we'll be able to detect. If a car drives, you will be able to detect. So just by looking at the signals, modulation or noise, then because every optical signal gets troubled by these kind of movements, and these movements lead to what kind of, if an elephant walks on that or runs on that, we'll be able to detect it. Okay, so that technology we are using for many of these operations. This is where I told you, after the youngsters come and actually work with us for developing robos and other things. I'll give you one practical example of what we wanted to devise that something known as a cono weeder. In agriculture, the weeds are the major problem. So We devised this conovator, but one customer came and told us this, look, can we use it in a coffee farm? Because the coffee farm, the slope is different. You can't use a weeder that runs on the land. Okay. So then we have a bunch of people who are doing it. They bought Chinese components. It failed. Okay. So now we have to look at very reliable Indian components for that. It's known as a snake weeder. It can climb walls and do that activity. So these are some really good work that we are doing in these areas. You can visit us. On skilling part of it, we are one of the top skilling agencies. We have tie-up with a lot of organizations. For example, we do one of the best 5G training in India. One. And how do we do it? The training courses that are announced in our website are vetted by the IIT professors. So we have two parts to it. One is the theory part, which is vetted by the IIT professor, and the practical part where we have people from the industry. We also have immersion programs where you have to come to the IIT campus, work with us, see the labs, and solve the problems along with us. So that's the today the course that we announced. You can see the brochures. We have put that course, advanced database course. It's a similar course that has been vetted by us. You can come to our place. We'll have an immersion program. We'll take you around the tour of what we are doing, and then so it's comes under Swayam Plus. Swayam Plus is an initiative of Government of India where they have said that skilling can be part of the course credit for students, because today everyone talks about databases but no one understands how to use Postgres. Okay, so that skilling part of it is what we are trying to impart. So for recreation, many companies have balloons or booths, but for us we have these kind of projects. Okay, this is a project, this is Konkan, the Konkan coast, and Ratnagiri is very famous for Alfonso mangoes, but no one knows that these kind of art forms have been carved, and these art forms are about 12,000 years old. Okay, it predates history. Okay, history. So what we are doing there, we are trying to document these drawings and then trying to announce this as a World Heritage Site. We are going to document it, give it to UNESCO. And the basic idea is, and the most important thing is, why it says we can rewrite history is that you can see rhinoceros in these kind of imprints. And in the Western Ghats, if you look at India geographically, Western Ghats doesn't have rhinoceros, or it's only the eastern side, that Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, that's where the rhinoceroses are. But how did these people carve it here? Okay, so these animals should have resided in this place 12,000 years ago. Okay, so there is possibility of rewriting history. The most important thing is, the one that is in the middle, two students and a professor. These two students cannot see. So we arranged a special trip for them where we wrote the art form, they touched it, and then we took them to the place they touched it. You should have seen the smile in their eyes. Okay, so as a foundation, other than doing technology work, we also do this part of the work. And I invite you, this is the place, this is our tourist research center. So if you are in Ratnagiri, please do visit us, inform us, we'll help you, take you around these places. That's something that we do. The other work, I think, how many of you saw this video? So that's one of our production. This is Ajanta. What we are trying to do is, Ajanta caves has a lot of history. Not only that, there are a lot of stories associated with Ajanta. So we are trying to bring them in the form of virtual reality. And remember, all these things take huge amount of data. Okay, which backend you have to have a database for managing all these things. And this is something that we are doing. Okay, if you want a sample, we have a sample, 8-minute sample. People can come and see. We are there tomorrow also, right? That will be there available tomorrow also. So you can just come and see that what we have done with respect to Ajanta caves. So we have a lot of international skilling. We work with the Middle East. We work with Nepal. We work with Sri Lanka. Currently, we are going to start working with Malaysia on incubation and other activities. Other than that, we have very, very important projects. If I know many of you don't watch Sansad TV, but if you watch Sansad TV, whenever any of the politicians speaks, there is a language it gets translated, and the text that comes, all those are AI generated. And we have been part of it, generating those text AI. Even when a Prime Minister speaks, the next work that we are doing is to reproduce the speech in the same form. For example, Prime Minister speaks in a particular way. Okay, so if I have to translate that into a language like say Kannada or Tamil, we were trying to bring the same voice also in Kannada or Tamil. So we are trying it using AI. That's our next step. So you will see this kind of stuff happening in Sunset TV if you watch Rajya Sabha whenever it runs. Okay, so the other thing we are doing it is for Supreme Court. We are doing a lot of image processing, text processing, summarization of court cases, because summarization of 1,000, 2,000 page document is not easy. So we have AI engines in the back which do all these things. There is a lot of learning, okay, a lot of tagging, tokens being generated, stored in databases, quick time search, all these things are happening. And you know the court cases pages runs to number of thousands of pages. So the amount of data is really massive. Other thing is we have built an end-to-end secure communication subsystem for the Indian Army, which is being deployed in the borders. So this is one other area that we are working, and definitely is database engineering for and research for strategic and classified use. We really want to go for because every country, let me tell you, uses Postgres. US Air Force uses Postgres for its database, not Oracle. Okay, so every country uses their own database. Alibaba uses their own Postgres based database. India doesn't use any of these things. So that's why in Aadhaar and other things, people are trying to bring Postgres. And if you want to bring many of those features, you have to do a lot of back-end research, because Oracle is really a fantastic database. Okay, all said and done, they have done a wonderful job. Okay, and I think we should appreciate them for that. And I think that's a benchmark where Postgres should go and probably cross that. Okay, that's a challenge for all the open source developers like that. With that, I just stop my small speech. Any questions, or any of your friends interested, or if you want to tour Pravartak along with Research Park, we'll be glad to help all of you. Okay, probably next to Postgres, you can just look at having it in Research Park whenever it comes to India. So this is one request for the organization. We'll be glad to help you out. Okay, so any questions, I'll be happy to answer, and our stall is there. People are here to help you. So any questions, especially outsiders who don't know us. Any questions? Okay, then thanks a lot. We appreciate your time.